Let's have some excitement
For sure.
and move on to the Sabbath pillar. So Sabbath, when was it instituted?
Oh, I see there's a big hoo-ha about that now.
Yes.
People that associated previously with the denomination with these 5 pillars now scream against it. No, it's not from creation.
Oh, where's it then from?
When I saw that, I didn't look further. I didn't want to see further. So I don't actually know where they say it's coming from yet.
You see, Martin, prior to the fall in heaven, nobody doubted that God was the creator.
Yeah.
Nobody doubted their origin, right? And so when God created man, he tells us that the Sabbath was made for man. It wasn't made for the Jews only.
Well,
It was made for man and was instituted in Eden when there was no Jew around.
it's even before the flood, so that's way before the Jews.
Actually, the word Jew doesn't even occur in the Bible. It's Judean,
Judean.
which was later changed.
So even if we want to say Israelites,
No.
same thing. It's been there. Why would Abraham keep the commandments if it was only instituted at Sinai?
Exactly. And his laws and his everything, his testimonies. So the Sabbath, does it stand? Does it not stand? Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbath you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord that does sanctify you. So is this a sign of redemption?
Yeah,
But it's also a sign of creation.
absolutely.
Because in the commandment it says, for in 6 days the Lord made.
Yeah.
That's why you keep the Sabbath. But here you are told that it is to sanctify you. Doesn't that mean to bring you back in harmony with His law?
Yep. It is to.
And Deuteronomy, don't you keep the Sabbath because you were a slave in Egypt and you were redeemed
Freed.
from your
Yeah, that's
slavery?
right.
So that's redemption,
That's
right?
it. It's redemption and creation, recreation.
All right. So you belong to the Lord because of He created you and because He bought you with a price. You're redeemed, right?
Yeah.
And you are supposed to acknowledge this publicly through what?
Keeping it the Sabbath weekly.
All right. So you must keep it because He's the one that redeems you and sanctifies you. In other words, gives you a new heart, a new creation. The old one is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, reason why you keep it is because He created you, right?
Yeah. Well,
But of course He changed that when He came to this earth, right?
well, that's a problem when you go to the Revelation and go to the first angel's message.
It's a problem there, but what about Matthew 5:17? Think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle other than the Sabbath shall in no wise pass from the law. Does it say that?
No,
Oh,
not at all.
you know that there's a curse on people that add something to the scriptures.
And take away.
So I better repeat that and
Yes,
correct this
correctly.
quickly before the curse lights upon my head here. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled.
So, when you go to the verse 17, fulfill does not mean
Abolish.
put away,
No.
take away.
No. No, definitely not, unless you have a grammatical problem.
Or an inner problem, a self problem that I don't want to keep the law.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least of these commandments. Isn't there another verse that says you break one, you break them all? And shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. And later it qualifies it by saying that least won't be there. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Christ never came to abolish or change the law.
No, he came to uplift it.
And to fulfill it, to live it out, to give us an example of what it should be like. Leviticus says 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day, not the first day, is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. So it's the symbol of his sanctification, not sanctification by works.
Yeah.
And Rome says that you are an anathema if you say that works don't save you. Hebrews 4 verse 3, for we which have believed do enter into rest. In other words, we rest in the completed work of Christ.
Yeah.
I wasn't there when he created the world.
No. But you can also have a part in the recreation and the rest.
Yes, as he said, I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall not enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundations of the world.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
I can't add to it. But let me qualify that. I cannot do one iota to earn my way to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly won't get into heaven by not doing one iota.
What do you call that? It's a catch-22.
Catch-22, yes. So, I will not get into heaven by keeping the law. But I will not get into heaven by neglecting the law either.
That's it.
All right? So there remains therefore a rest to the people of God. We all have to be saved through the righteousness of Christ and not by our works.
No.
Do we therefore abolish the law? Romans 3, the very last word. No, we,
Establish it.
God forbid, we don't get rid of it. So Martin, just to make the issue quite clear, this Sabbath issue versus the mark of the beast, which is Sunday, because the beast itself says that Sunday is a mark of its ecclesiastical power. That is the Catholic Church claiming this. The millennialists see it in that light. So let's just make sure.
Yeah, so we're also going to see in this video is Jason Wolfe. He is a Christian nationalist, and he's also on board with Douglas Wilson.
Correct, with whom we had an interview regarding the Sabbath issue.
With Heritage and Hope. Now, they recently had an interview with Jason Wolfe, where he said he's very much aligned with what Thomas Aquinas' his thinking is.
So there we have a totally Catholic, so-called saint-induced thinking.
Yeah, and they're going to speak here about introducing Sabbath laws.
Yes.
Well, obviously, mark of the beast laws, because it will not be the Saturday Sabbath, but obviously the first day.
Correct.
To your point, and you made this point earlier, we continued to have Sabbath laws. We continued to have blasphemy laws. We continued to have laws all across America that very clearly favored and demonstrated the fact that we are a Christian people with a Christian religion. And so it really is just historically ignorant to claim.
And what people don't realize, is that Sabbath laws, Sunday or blue laws, Sunday laws, they've never been deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court.
Wow.
In fact, they've been upheld.
Wow.
And so there's no case that you can find in the Supreme Court, list of published opinions that denies you a state or a county the right to establish a blue law. In fact, there are still remnants of blue laws today. And read it, because I'm very clear by the end of it that I've laid out the principles, I've laid out what's permissible, but in the end, we are Americans and we want to see a recovery of that American tradition. And apart from the last few decades, again, everyone thought we were a Christian nation. We had Sabbath laws, we had blasphemy laws, again, explicit recognition that we're a Christian people.
So Martin, the Sabbath, does it stand?
Very, very strong.
All right, let's just make sure. Just for Jews, let's have a look. Blessed is the man, this is Isaiah chapter 56, that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath, from polluting it and keeping his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger, we're not talking about Jews now,
Everybody.
that has joined himself to the Lord speaks, saying, the Lord has utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus says the Lord unto the eunuch that keeps my Sabbath, and choose the thing that please me, and take hold of my covenant, even unto them, that's the stranger and the eunuch, will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Is he predicting that the stranger and the eunuch, in other words, those that have been made impotent by this world and by the teachings of this world, if they keep the Sabbath, they will only keep it because they embrace the Lord of the Sabbath?
It elevates your respect and your love for God.
I couldn't keep the Sabbath as an evolutionist.
No.
Ridiculous.
You could keep it every 7th million year.
Yes, I couldn't keep the Sabbath as an atheist.
No.
What's the point? There's no creation, right? So once I have acknowledged, okay, there was a creation, I can start keeping the Sabbath. But that doesn't mean that I'm saved, because I'm a lost individual. I have to repent, come back into harmony with God and his law, accept the pleadings of my advocate, accept his robe of righteousness, then I can keep the Sabbath because he's the one that sanctifies me.
That's it. Then you keep it because you're sanctified, not to get sanctified.
Is it biblical that the stranger and the eunuch, those that have become religiously impotent, that they will keep the Sabbath?
Yeah. Well, they do.
Says so there.
Definitely. And we must just remember, I think a lot of people get hung up on the portion that Jesus did all for us. And now we are when we keep the Sabbath, we are actually trying to take away from what he did for us on the cross, from setting us free. But he didn't set you free from the Sabbath. The Sabbath and the 10 Commandments are an outflow of love of what he showed you, what he's done for you.
Correct. So let's ask something about the Sabbath in history. Why did they go into the Babylonian captivity?
Because they didn't keep the Sabbath.
What does Ezekiel tell us about that? Because they despised my judgments and walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths, for their hearts went after their idols. They had their own ideas.
But why did it go after the idols? Because isn't it true that when you acknowledge the Sabbath, you acknowledge who's the authority in your life?
Exactly. If you acknowledge Sunday, that's idolatry.
There you go.
Sunday is idolatry. It's breaking the second commandment.
There's somebody else that brought it in.
Okay, is it dishonoring God?
Yes.
So you have another God besides you because you're honoring not God's Sabbath, but the Pope's Sabbath.
Yeah.
Then he becomes your God. I don't care how much Fuller's soap he uses to whiten his cloak. It's underneath, it's got black garments. Yes, you can see some of the pictures of Pope Francis, the Jesuit, with these black garments shining through his white robe. But let's not go there. Yeah. But this is a very important issue. So when you go to the restoration, and you read about that in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, the first restoration that took place was the temple itself.
Yeah.
So that's the plan of salvation.
That's it.
And the last one was the wall.
Yeah.
And the Sabbath. The Sabbath was the last correction. So that was the type. Same for the Christian world. So the Sabbath. Did the world lose sight of the Sabbath? Not really. There was always someone to remind them.
It's always, the light always went through, even if it was a little bit dim.
So the first generation of Christians, they kept the Sabbath, right? As their custom was, says the Bible. The Valdenses, did they keep the Sabbath? Were they persecuted?
Oh, bad.
Mercilessly.
Badly.
Right? And they were punished with the forfeiture of their substance, Synod of Toulouse, and eventually a death decree.
Yeah.
The Celtic church, did they keep the Sabbath? Yes. The Ethiopian church, did they keep the Sabbath?
If I'm not mistaken, it's still keeping Sabbath.
Part of it, yes. And who destroyed that little arrangement? Wasn't it the Jesuits? Okay. What about the reformers? Were they confronted with the Sabbath?
Oh, yes. You've mentioned it many times before. Karlstadt,
Karlstadt?
Gleit. Edward
Gleit?
Gleit.
Yes. They all issued warnings on the Sabbath and said, we must keep the Sabbath. They rejected it. But it didn't go away, so the Seventh-day Baptists came along and said, we must keep the Sabbath. And eventually the Seventh-day Adventists are keeping the Sabbath.
Maybe that's important to know now. So it wasn't the Adventists that thought out this pillar.
No, it's not their pillar. This pillar is just biblical.
Actually,
the
all these
sanctuary,
pillars.
they didn't think it out. In
No.
fact, they actually missed it in the beginning
Exactly.
because everybody else had missed it. All right? So the sanctuary is a pillar. It can't be moved. It's biblical. The second coming is a pillar. It can't be moved. It's biblical. The Sabbath is a pillar. It can't be moved. It's biblical.
Yep.
And it's going to be confronted by the mark of the beast. And this is the real issue, because the real issue is who's your Redeemer and who's your Creator.
Yeah. Who's the authority in your life?
And the only symbol that we have for both of those is the Sabbath.
Sabbath.
So, Martin, which of those three that we've discussed so far can we kick out?
No. Luckily, not one. We're very fortunate, because if we stand on these pillars, we will probably be okay.
All right. So I can't